So in a bobsled, what are your positions? Obviously, there's somebody, a pilot.
Yep.
Then there's this guy and this guy and this guy. Can you kind of go into like the positioning and
Yeah.
who has jobs responsibilities going
Yeah.
down the track?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, when the first person in the sled's the pilot, and they're the one that's starting kind of the furthest point up on the sled when we think about the four man, and so and then you've got your two guy and our three guy for us in the U.S., or at least on the sled that I'm in. And the two and three is also so interchangeable depending on where you are and the coach and how you develop. But those are the two side guys. And when you think about the two side guys, they're probably the more powerful guys, not always the fastest guys on the team, because when you think about the sequencing of getting into the sled, you want to be able to, one, as a team, have that power off the line. You also want to be able to, from a size perspective, be in a world in which kind of stride lengths are also similar, because if you're striking the ice at the same time, you're creating force at the same time. And so those things start to matter and mesh together. And then you think about the four guy, which is the position that I slide in. Mainly, I also slide from the three spot at sometimes, but that's normally your fastest guy. And so when you think about what
Sure.
that position does, it's the person that's on the ice the longest, although it's a very split second longer than the others. It's kind of where you want to put your fastest guy. And for us, we also tend to put kind of our smaller guys at the brakes as well from an aerodynamics standpoint.
So they have to have the upper body strength to actually physically stop the sled if they had to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you first got into a sled, was it like a push start, or did you guys actually go full board? We're gonna jump in this thing and go for a
Yeah,
ride.
yeah. When I first got on the sled up in Lake Placid last, I guess October, it was a full, hey, we're going. Here's what you need to know. Have you learned the track? Great. Make sure you pull the brakes and bring the sled to stop. And so it was a full set, back set, ready, start, sequence hit, and running down and seeing the timer go, and then getting in the sled and holding on. And so my first experience in the bobsled is really too was one where you can't prepare yourself for it in terms of what it's going to be like. Some folks will compare it to kind of a roller coaster ride, but then you have others like Jason Kelsey, who took a bobsled ride in Lake Placid with us back, or in Park City with us back in October, and is like it. He thought it was going to be a roller coaster ride. It was nothing like a roller coaster ride, and there's nothing that prepares you for it at all.
Is it much scarier than a roller coaster? 'Cause that sled could go anywhere at that point,
That's
right?
yeah. The sled can go anywhere. It's also part of the sport where I think the risk that you take in that sled being able to go anywhere is one of those accepted risks that you take, but it's also a manageable risk at times. And so when you think about
Sure.
the experience of the pilots, those guys have been doing it, and those guys and those women have been doing it for a number of years before they're able to get, especially at the World Cup level, to get to where they are. And so even from a developmental side, you're focusing on the craft, you're meeting with coaches, you're doing track walks every day, sometimes multiple times a day, you're checking ice conditions and profiles until you're learning all these components before you even get behind the sled. But even when you think about getting into sled, it's not something that you can take 15, 10, sometimes even 5 runs a day. Sometimes for us, you're getting 2 runs, and that's a training session. So a lot of it's the mental reps that you're taking. It's learning the track, it's knowing where am I entering, where am I exiting, where am I going to feel the pressure, and finding a way to manage those things as a driver.